the exhale than the inhale. So if you're good at math and fractions, you can take that any which way. Um, but that gives you about 6 breaths a minute, I believe. And that's a good pace. That's a good pace to stay regulated, which especially when it's so hot, um, it's something to think of. And it's not like we don't have our moments of feeling hot under the collar, off and on throughout our days anyhow. So I do not see any questions yet. If we don't have any questions on either of the platforms, uh, I'll read from the book. Um, that froze. I might have to edit that out. It's almost like a Zoom freeze where your face is in this weird position and it just stops. So, 50 and Fabulous. My chapter in this book, chapter 15 in this book, is the reason that I started showing up for these lives, because I had so many questions from my perimenopausal friends and clients related to HRT and what can we do, if that's not our choice, and bioidentical, and how thorough is the mm, what's being prescribed now, and how to request it, because there's still some finesse around doing that. And there's also ways to support your hormones and your health past your time of making estrogen by your ovaries that uh, aren't yet included in even bioidentical modern HRT. And I am speaking in October, the beginning of October 2024. So when I went through my early pause, um, a decade and a half or slightly more ago, mainstream medicine was not entertaining the conversation about bioidentical hormones being superior. Now they are. I don't know exactly when it switched, because I was so used to paying out of pocket for one of the few specialty doctors in my region. And let me change the back, lose a little bit of that background. Maybe not. Okay. Where's my camera crew? uh, and I really wish we could make one of these not mirror. And I look forward to being able to broadcast simultaneously on multiple platforms instead of having multiple cameras. So currently, it seems that if a woman in that age range requests HRT, especially if she mentions hot flashes, there's some systems that will not entertain the conversation if you do not mention that. Just FYI. Um, uh, so estrogen and its balance, progesterone, um, are what is commonly prescribed. And they're often not even doing blood work for it. They're just, okay, yeah, you probably need this. These are not the only things that you can do. Um, Lots of people, I'm a fan of DHEA, master hormone. I'm a fan of breath work that stimulates the pituitary, which is the gland that oversees all hormones. Um, Third eye, no coincidence there, right? Uh, and there's definitely other things that I do. I've been in fitness for over 3 decades, and uh, kind of the leading edge all along. So I used to think of, and of course, I know bodybuilders, and a lot of my friends have even done contests. Um, it's usually just one just to, like, do it, um, and, because it's especially if it it can be tricky to win without steroids. It's possible, it just takes a little more effort, but it's worth it because steroids tend to inflate the muscle, and muscles grow faster than tendons, and if you pop a tendon off its attachment, well, you have a season of not being able to train, so it's best to train smart rather than be sorry. Anyhow, so I tended to think of creatine as like a boy bodybuilder thing, but it turns out that it is actually even more important for women in the second half of life than for boy bodybuilders. It helps our brains, it helps our endurance. Nothing makes up for nothing completely takes the place of the way that estrogen helps our muscles and our tissues repair. I, um, I, one moment. Um, Nothing takes the place of what estrogen will do, which is why, since I am cancer free, uh, bioidentical HRT hormone therapy is an option for me, and I choose it. Um, But I also found a significant increase, in my strength, endurance, and energy with the addition of creatine. I tend to eat a Mediterranean diet, so healthy protein, high in omega-3. You in Europe, like even like cattle that graze have omega-3 in the beef. I know they call it their bodies, but like, and I used to be a vegetarian, so I kind of get if you're sensitive about that. But even farm raised salmon don't. So we think of salmon and fatty fish as being the highest in omega 3s, but it really depends on, what the creature was eating during its life, like how much omega 3 they are producing. So, and lots of vegetables. I mean, vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. Um, there are some fruits that are called vegetables. I have sensitive digestion, so I have to be aware of things like tomatoes that are sweet and grow on a vine are actually a fruit. And the reason that they're being called a vegetable is because long ago there was a tax on fruits, but not vegetables. So they decided to call them a vegetable because after all, you put them in your salad, right? Um, yeah. So anyhow, fruits and vegetables, so good for you. Different grains tend to be good for different people, but your body makes carbohydrates if you give it the other right things. So it's not like you actually have to ingest carbohydrates to have carbohydrates. I know carb loading was a big thing, a few decades ago, maybe still for endurance athletes and competitive sports and stuff like that. Uh, and it is true, your body needs fuel when you are undertaking an athletic endeavor. Your body needs fuel. Any clue what the Oh, sorry, I promised to get back to your okay. Any clue what the most challenging athletic endeavor a human can take is? Did you know that when you are carrying a child, that your heart grows in size, your blood volume increases? It is and your center of gravity shifts, like, every week, after a certain point, sometimes more often than that. So I'm gonna put that right up there. Uh, and so strength training. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. Muscles are so important. They they help you keep your bones strong. They help stimulate hormones. They help keep you upright so you don't wind up being one of those, like, hunched over people. Um, Working the posterior chain, the extensors of the back and the neck, understanding what is good posture. Um, y- y- you know, Muscles hold you up. Muscles hold your bones together. Muscles move your bones. Muscles control every joint in your body. And I am rarely a fan of training to, I don't like to be sore. You can get very strong without being sore. And one of the reasons that I say that is because I have been blessed with the tool of called active isolated stretching and strengthening. Thank you, Aaron Mattis. And I have been studying with him since 1997. So that tool it can warm up the muscles for activity. It can warm down the muscles so that you recover faster, so that you don't have what I call silly soreness or stupid soreness, that you can recover faster. So, yes, if you are increasing your load and and growing your strength, you might have some legit soreness if you are used to hiking for 1 hour and you hiked for four. Also, legit soreness, which will subside faster if you do active isolated stretching. Give me a moment. Green tea, also really good for you. Um, theanine, theanine in a cup, and something to wet my whistle for these hot days and lots of talking. So yes, I am a fan of it. You start to lose strength in 3 days. I know it doesn't seem fair because you might have the flu for more days than that and you can't train, but you can't just jump right back in where you left off. You have to start a little bit gentle and build up. And so I'm a huge fan of staying inside the bubble of goodness. So you want to sorry, let me just get this out of here. There you go. Um, I like to feel strong. I feel like if I've done a really good workout, the next day I'll feel stronger, and also I'll enjoy the workout while I'm doing it. I really am a big fan of doing things you enjoy. um, so, uh, if you are doing something that you think is for your health that you're not enjoying, there might be an option that gets you at least as good results with more happiness. And why not be happy, right? Um, yeah, be happy. So there's just so many ways to get strong and stay strong. I enjoy leading people in strength training, and I used to teach dance fitness. Um, that's super fun too. Combinations of these things are fun. Uh, and because I know how bodies work, I'm less likely to want to be in someone's class unless, I there are a few people who I totally enjoy learning from. Um, and anybody can be fun, but it's I know what my body needs, and my body has probably slightly more particular and specialized needs than maybe an average body because I have hypermobility. So that comes to when you think about, the good kind of flexibility, what you want in your muscles, so that you have joint range of motion and elastic, resilient muscles. That's a good kind of flexibility. When muscles hyperextend. I don't know if you can see that my elbow is kind of wackadoodle there. And so I need to make sure that when it's weight bearing, extend it only to there and not all the way to there, because that's hyperextending. My knees do the same thing. I had to learn that. And when I learned that, I had a lot less back pain. So I do have, I should have mentioned this sooner. I do have a YouTube channel, obviously, with somewhere between 100 and 200 free educational videos, including some posture videos and stretch videos, a couple for getting out of back pain. I have a program for that too. Um, and I work with people live in person as well as on Zoom. Um, my favorite people to work with are people who will do a little or a lot homework, because I can teach you how to use active isolated stretching to take care of yourself. So it becomes a tool once you look. It's actually, to quote Leonardo da Vinci, it's simple yet profound. Simplicity is profound, I think was his actual quote, although I don't know how to say it in Italian. Um, but simplicity is profound. It's, the simple things in life. Be good to each other. Get sleep, drink water, can have a very profound effect on your health, well-being, attitude, and outlook. So even though I have done this one once before in the live, I'm going to do this now. So I'm seated on a flat surface, a flat stool. In my case, you don't want a bucket seat chair or something like that. My hips are a little bit higher than my knees. My knees are in alignment with my toes. Um, and I'm perched on my sit bones. I'm perched specifically on the front of my sit bones. So that, and evenly. So that sends a message up my that sends a message up my system to be in good alignment. Now, I still have to do it. I still have to heed the call. But think of like a bird being perched on a wire or a tiny branch, right? So there's a lot of balance involved in that. And I'm not sure exactly how they do it or if that's a good analogy. But anyhow, perch on your sit bones and lengthen up through your spine. Remember that your neck is part of your spine, and out the crown of your head is the top. So if I imagine a beam of light that goes from the center of the planet through my body and up into source. Thank you, Scott Bartlett. Because quantum physics says we're all made out of stardust anyhow, so it's very state-of-the-art science. But this is more, everything else that active isolated stretching is based on is Sir Charles Sherrington won the Nobel Prize in medicine for discovering the main principle that active isolated stretching is based on nearly 100 years ago. Gee, why aren't more people using it? Anyhow, so you're perched on your sit bones. You are lengthened through your spine, and it's a little bit like the Queen's wave. You're just going to rotate around. So it's an inhale, and on the exhale, I turn my whole body, keeping both sit bones down. Exhale, 1, 2. What you can't see is this hand is going on the outside of that thigh. This hand is reaching for the back of my chair gently. The assist is less than 1 pound of assistance. Okay. So 0 ounces is legit. So 0 to 16 ounces of assistance. So again, inhale, expand your back, expand your lungs, lengthen your spine, and exhale, rotate. And yes, we do multiple repetitions on one side. Building up some local endurance. And if you go just a little bit further each time, doesn't that feel good? Let's do the other side. Make sure your sit bones are lengthened. Make sure make sure your sit bones are perched on the front. Make sure your spine is lengthened. And inhale, really expand your lungs, expand your back ribs, side ribs, upper ribs, lower ribs. Inhale, lengthen. And then exhale and again. One more. Roll through your shoulders. And breathe deeply. Remember to hydrate. Have a good day. Have a good week. Thank you for your time and attention. And I look forward to seeing you soon.